Alright, what it is, my homies. No. I want to talk about gaming on Linux again. And the thing about Linux is that Linux is free. Now, what if I told you you could build a pretty decent gaming computer for probably less than a modern Xbox 360 or Xbox One? I don't know, how much do Xbox Ones go for? If I wanted to buy one, Walmart 240. All right. Well, about as much as an Xbox One. You could get into gaming for about as much money as it costs to buy a gaming console, especially if you use Linux right now. Um, so I ran some numbers and I was running through and I actually made a video and then I was like, well, no one's gonna find that interesting because my conclusion was like, oh, for you could buy a gaming PC for $480 of parts, and this was like a mainline gaming machine, um, or I should say, this was a very upgradable system. I included 8 gigabytes of RAM, a Ryzen. I was looking around on eBay. Well, I did that, and I was gonna upload the video, and I realized, man, that's not a real budget machine, especially because you can find other budget machines. And so then I wanted to know what would happen if instead of building an AMD Ryzen machine, what happens if you went and built an Intel i5 machine? And oh man, so down here are the prices of the parts I got. So I found a processor, an Intel Core i5 used. So it is used for $52.49, free shipping. The buyer is pretty legitimate. I found a GTX. You're not gonna believe this. I found a GTX 1060 for 69 bucks. It is currently the last one. Um, so you're probably not going to get this deal, and it is shipping from Shenzhou, China. So it's going to take a long time to get to me if I bought this, which I don't think I am. But considering that I was like just looking just now and I found a GTX 1060, assuming this isn't a scam, for 70 bucks, um, man, it's very questionable if it's a scam or not. But there it is. I initially was going to suggest, and I didn't realize this either. It's that I was going to say that for a GTX 1060 you would pay 200 bucks. So 70 bucks. It might be too good, but good to be true. 98.8% seems like a pretty legitimate seller. Yeah, I mean, seems legitimate to me. Um, I'm half tempted to get this last one myself. And then there's power supplies. Let me go back. So let me go back down here. So then, if you're building an i5 system, there's this interesting motherboard here. There's 773VG Dell Optiplex 710 desktop socket. LGA 1175 OME motherboard. So I don't know if this will fit as a standard ATX motherboard. I did find a standard ATX motherboard for 25 bucks for the CPU. Three available. This will work. This one, if you can get this one to work, this one's better because it's got two PCI Express slots over here, and it's got four sticks for RAM. So if you can get this to fit in a case, and the case I'm looking at, like, is this Alienware. It's $10. It's actually $16.11 for shipping, so it's $26 for this case. You could get some pretty cheap cases. I found some pretty cheap prices. You can get cases for free technically. So you get this, and you get the processor for $52. You get the graphics card for $70. This is a this is an i5 system, 3.2 gigahertz, quad core, with a GTX 1060 in it. 650 watt power supply. This is from American made from Texas. And you spend $31 on RAM for two sticks of DDR3 at 1600. It's not really any specs listed for this thing. I don't know what the top bus speed is. I hope it's more than 1600. It could be 1300, so you might have some throttling issues there. But for an entry gaming level machine, 1300, man, that was a gaming back. That was gaming in 2008 was bus speed. So, and then you have to throw in a $10 or a $9 CPU cooler for the LGA socket 1155. So these are the compatibilities you're looking for. You want to make sure you get. Mostly you want the motherboard to conform to the socket type. You really want the motherboard to conform to a standard specification. Like with this motherboard that I'm pretty sure will work. It should say somewhere that it's an ATX motherboard. It doesn't say a specific form factor. So I actually don't know if either of these motherboards would work. I mean, I know that they'll work, the hardware will work. I just don't know if the motherboard will actually fit in the case or not. For $25, I don't know. It's if you're building a budget machine, it's hard for me to say, really. We know it'll work in a case of a Dell Optiplex 710. I mean, if you can find that case, I don't know if it'll work in this case. Dell generally has some issues because they don't generally have standard ATX motherboards. Doesn't mean you might be able to get it to work. I mean, it looks pretty square. It's hard to say. But if it worked, if I knew it worked, if it works, then you can get a really cheap gaming system. So I combined, and then you need a hard drive. Did I leave the hard drive up here? I don't think I did. What was this one? So $13 hard drive, 500 gigabytes, 7.7200 RPM, 256.20. That's how much this system would cost. Yeah, that's a budget machine. I mean, and this was me just basically like looking at, okay, what if I wanted to build a new system, if I wanted to build a Ryzen gaming budget system, and I came out with a price point of about $480. But then I was like, well, what if I wanted to build, and this is pretty much all like very similar hardware to what I have in my computer now. I have a 44. So I have an i5 4400. I have a GTX 970, which is probably a slightly better slightly better card from the previous generation, but only by a factor of 1. And then I've got 12 gigs of RAM. I've got a DDR. I've got an SSD. But really, this system, if it works, I mean, I know all the hardware will work. Like this, you could definitely get this chip or this processor will fit in this slot. And the standardization, I just don't know if this motherboard will fit in this case. That is the only issue with this. If you want to get an ATX, I mean, what you need to look for is an ATX motherboard. Yeah, 1155. And $40. So you might be raising that number a little bit just to ensure compatibility. $19. This is an ATX DDR3 micro. It's got a PCI. It's used. Oh, and it's bidding. Okay. I'm trying to look for stuff that you could buy right now. I don't know. That would it might be $300. You might have to get a compatible motherboard or ensure a compatible motherboard. I'm just surprised that there's not something 1-star. I mean, here's a $40 something that'll work. But yeah, basically, pretty much anything on this list will work for sure. If it's got ATX, that's the form factor, and if it's got 115, that's the socket type. You could be pretty shooting sure that it's going to work, unless it's somehow like DDR4 or something, some weird combo. But I'm pretty sure, I think this one will work. This is an Intel motherboard, so it's not a Dell. So this one should be an ATX motherboard, $25 or 28. Wait, I thought I saw one for 25. Yeah, this one, 25. So $25. And you can put that graphics card, you can put that RAMs in here, and then it'll all work. And it doesn't say what form factor it is, so I assume... What does it say down here? It just says... Yeah, it doesn't say its form factor, so the assumption would be that it's an ATX motherboard. So technically, if you got this one, it's a slight savings. Although this is a worse motherboard than this one, because it's of the PCI Express slots. So if you can get this one to work, that's great. If you can't, well, I don't know. It's, I mean, I kind of wish I had the money to spare to just do these things to test for you guys and be like, yeah, hey, you can totally throw that into this case and build a $246.20 computer. But I mean, if this, you could get the $25 one. And then all of a sudden, you've saved yourself $5. Yeah. No, you saved yourself nothing. They're the same price. I'm sorry. So it'd still be the same price. It'd be 1 penny less. It'd be 25,619. Or 256.19. So yeah, no, you can get a really, and that's a decent system. I mean, all these specs, i5 3470, that's not the greatest processor, but you can upgrade it later to an i7, I think. I'm pretty sure you can upgrade to an i7. DDR3, you know, very extent. You can add another 8 gigabyte for $30, and then you got 16 gigabytes for $30. So just another $30. You're going for a 16 gigabyte system here. And then the other expandability, the other thing you'll definitely want to do is you're going to want to change out the hard drive for a solid state drive. Get yourself a solid state drive, and then that'll kick it up even faster. The cooling fan, the one I've selected, like, this is probably junk. I bought it, I was looking at it because it was like the cheapest cooling fan. But you might want to get something beefier, especially if you're in a hot climate. All you have to do really is make sure it's compatible with LGA socket 1155. Socket. Well, most of these, like here, this one, almost all of these are generally compatible with. Yeah, this one. See, this one's compatible with 1150. So you can spend $24 and get a really beefy. And this is not such a bad idea, especially with this lower end CPU. Maybe this lower end guy, you might want to overclock him. Maybe, I don't know. I don't do overclocking, but 3.2 gigahertz is definitely slow. It's not that slow though. I mean, it's better than an i3. It's way better than an i3 because you got 4 cores in here instead of 2. So, you know, this is not by any means going to be a slow poke. This is a very capable $256. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure of the specs, but I mean, it's pretty much the same specs as like an Xbox One, I think. I mean, maybe yeah, pretty much, pretty close, pretty damn close to the same. So it's like the same price, and it's Xbox One. I mean, the real reason that this is so cheap is because of that graphics card. I mean, these are generally, this might be a scam. So, but I mean, you know, as long as you go through PayPal, you can get your money back. So if it's a scam. So yeah, this is and then the big advantage, of course, is that then when you add Linux, Linux is free. Linux is free. So you can I'm running Linux. I'm running almost identical hardware to this system for $256. I paid like $1,000 for my computer. So, yeah, if you look for the deals, man, you can find the deals. All right, thank you for watching this video. Peace out.